Trading is a very stressful job, and after 8 years, these are the two main lessons that I wish someone taught me when I started out that would have drastically reduced the mental toll and stress that trading has had on myself and would have allowed me to become profitable even sooner. In retrospect, looking back and seeing how a chart or a trade has played out after you got out and seeing that you could have made way more than you did is one of the most challenging things you will deal with from a psychological perspective as a trader. Now, with Zeta, we stuck to our plan. I had my plan in place to lock in profit and sell this trade at 27.20. Off the open, we pulled back shortly after. Zeta bounced like 5%. And I'm like, great, I got a solid entry. And I shouldn't have looked at it again, but I did. And I saw that as we started trending down later on in the day, this was actually just like an hour after, we broke 27.20. So on Zeta specifically, I was just looking on a 4-hour time frame, and I could identify back when we were trading off the open yesterday around 29, right? I could see this support area at 27.20. I was keeping an eye on the average daily range. I also had my algo on this chart. And then at the same time, we started during pre-market, we pushed, we were up like 6-7%. We opened slightly green and then we sold off like 3% immediately. And so I took that as like, okay, this is definitely playing out as I, hoped. You could see pre-market highs, 30.33. We almost traded back up to our entry during pre-market. Our entry was around 30.45. So we traded up toward our entry during pre-market, came all the way back down, opened, sold off 3%. I saw this clear level of support. And at the same time, I was looking on my other chart and, I was looking at the daily time frame, obviously that support area there. And I had this algorithm applied, my trade management algo applied, and I got an exit signal. And so like all those things taken into consideration, I just got out. Okay. Yes, these contracts ended up continuing to go up throughout the day. I mean, this thing sold off 30% yesterday. So I could have made a lot more. However, you can never look back, and even for a loss, as long as you stick to your plan, I say it's a better trade, even if you lose money versus if you make money, if on the trade when you lost money, you stuck to your plan. And, this thing just continued to pull back. So no regret, right? If you're looking at this chart and if you're thinking, oh, I could have made so much more, and I saw a couple of you did hold, and that's great as long as that was part of your plan. You always got to have that plan in place. You never know what will happen. The opposite could have happened. We could have actually bounced off of, that 27. We could have kept pushing yesterday, and we could have, come right back up, been break even, dipped into the red, and this thing could have, continued to rebound. But it didn't. Doesn't matter. Just try to avoid looking at a chart after you get out of the trade. Just stick to your plan. At the end of the day, that's all we can do is go into a trade with a plan and stick to it. So I thought I'd just kind of recap that. Obviously, just a psychological struggle there that you'll run into as a trader. And I wanted to talk about pre-market and aftermarket. I remember I was thinking back the other day when I started trading, how I was like obsessed with looking at aftermarket. As soon as the market closed, if I had a trade on, I would check the aftermarket up until 8 p.m. Eastern when, the aftermarket session closes. And then as soon as I'd wake up, I'd check the pre-market like obsessively until the market opens. This is something that, especially as swing traders, we just don't have control of. We can't do anything about what happens aftermarket or pre-market. It's easy to say like, don't look at it, right? But in reality, I've seen many times where the aftermarket session, let's say, will look very red, and I'm in some calls, and pre-market will look very red. And then minutes before the open or on the open, all of a sudden everything just changes. And I just spent the last, hours last night and in the morning stressing, looking, oh no, we're red. So just don't look at the pre-market and don't look at the aftermarket. I'm serious, don't do it. This is another example. Like on Zeta, the same thing happened. We ended up pushing. You could see this was the open of the pre-market, and at the peak during pre-market, Zeta was up 7%. So if I had woken up and I had been looking, this would have just been like terrible to watch this. you know, knowing that I was in shorts, knowing that my entry was here at 30.45, and then just to find out that if I had just opened the market and looked at 9:30, we would have opened and I would have been totally fine. I mean, this thing opened essentially flat. There was no point in stressing over what happened here or what happened here. Same thing as the aftermarket. It's like during aftermarket, we started slowly kind of pushing, working our way up back toward our entry, and then pre-market, it would have been like, oh shit, no, we're almost up to our entry. This is gonna be a rough day on the open. Like, just stressing the pre-market and aftermarket is so pointless. Just don't do it. Open like your TOS, your phone, whatever, when the market opens, and see what's happened, because you'll see like how, you know, this looked like we were going to be in a lot of trouble off the open. It opened, we were great, it sold off, and we made 50%. Versus like at this point, we would have essentially been break even if we opened up here. But you just never know. If you guys enjoyed this video, and if you're interested in taking your trading a step further and finding that consistent profitability, I'll give you access to see all of my exact trades, to trade live with me every single morning, and a whole lot more. All of this is over inside my mentorship group. I will put a link in the description below if you're interested in joining. And if you do, I look forward to working with you. With that said, subscribe for more, and I will see you all in the next video. Later.